So there is no doubt that people are the most important part of any organization. Doesn't matter how brilliant your product or your service would be. Without the right people to take it to market, to service it, to keep on developing it, you really will go nowhere in business. Everyone from Steve Jobs to Jeff Bezos and many other key leaders know that so very well and talked about it so much. But before you get to that point where you are hiring the best talent for your organization in every role, there is normally quite a recruitment process that runs before that. And in that arsenal of tools that you have available to you to then assess and make the big hires, referencing is certainly one of the very important things that you can make work for you. Now, traditionally, um, referencing has been very much overlooked. It's been done very much as a last minute, quick 5-minute call to a previous hiring manager, checking if someone did work there and if they were kind of okay on the job. And that's what comes through to you on the hiring side. But if referencing is done well, it can be so full of information that helps you to assess, to see whether the culture fit would be right, and to look at key aspects that would be important for you in the fit for that specific role. Now, of course, before your recruiter or your headhunter can go into taking that kind of a relevant reference, they would also need to know what some of those key competencies are. That all gets worked out quite in depth in a proper engaged or retained search process. But when you have a recruiter who can work with you that way, whether they are internal, whether they are external, it doesn't matter. And you can fine tune what needs to come out of those references in addition to just your normal checking of reliability and timekeeping and those kind of things. It becomes very valuable for you. When I take references, it takes me between 30 to 45 minutes per reference. And we really approach it very much like a competency-based interview. So we would start with a reference, just verifying, obviously, role, title, the relationship between the individual I'm taking the reference from and the candidate I'm taking the reference on. Once we've established that, we then start talking about the role in brief. Give me a description of what that role is about and how did that individual perform. Then we start going into those key competencies, which would be very essential skills that are required for the job, whether they be technical skills, it could be specific strategic viewpoints, agility. There's many different things and things that would be key to them being a good culture match into your organization. And we would actually go through those and ask for examples on those. How did they do with this? Give me an example of where they did that. We would look at their ability to handle conflict, because that is so key, again, in working with people, and especially at any level where you are in a more senior position, leading people, managing a team, steering an organization becomes so important. How you handle conflict, how people defer to you. Could you work with people? What is your management style? Because different roles would require slightly different management styles. Sometimes you would need to be able to adjust that style very much depending on the situation. In other times, depending on the level of the role, it would need to be stronger and more directive, and other times very, very collaborative. So many different styles that could be right there or that could work, and checking for what the outcomes are of that style and what those people who reported into this individual thought of them. Could they actually lead a team and get a team to work together towards common goals? We look at failures. We look at how they recovered from those failures. We look at the main challenges they needed to overcome and how they went about that. So as you can see, it really goes into depth about that individual in the workplace. And of course, the other thing that we are looking for is we are looking for major trends coming through in those references. So by the time we speak to number 1, number 2, number 3, and sometimes even more references, you would start seeing certain traits of that individual being confirmed time and again. But then you will also see differences. And you are ideally looking for that, because it would be like people giving testament in a court of law. If you get carbon copy testimonies, something is wrong, because every individual would focus on different aspects and see different things. And because of their personality and how they are wired, they will see things differently to the next person. And if you get carbon copies, it means these people have been prepared for these references. These are not authentic references. But when you get differences in them, but still major traits coming through, these references are accurate. And then, of course, if you get those stories, those competency-based real-life scenarios coming through, it helps a lot as part of your assessment tools of an individual into a role. So good to do those in-depth references and keep on delving as much as you need to answer the questions you have for the role.